All right.
Good evening.
Of course, how are you?
Good.
Yep, the phone's working too.
That's right, Terry. Calling in. You hit the button on that one?
Hello, is that Terry?
This is Terry Kurt.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we're going to, when we start staff reports, I'm going to turn it over to Mike right away so he can present what he's here for. And then we'll go into the rest of mine. Thank you for coming, Mike.
Okay to start.
You bet. Wouldn't miss it, Lawrence.
Yeah, you had
Good
nothing
to
else.
hear.
You had nothing
Now
else
you got
planned.
good news coming for us, right?
You, you need to get a life. Terry, thanks for joining us by phone this evening.
No problem, Lors.
I promise not to,
Here.
I promise not to switch meeting dates on you in the future.
Okay, that sounds good. I like it when I'm there. You know that.
We love when you're here.
Yep, I always feel better when I'm in East Dubuque.
I think we got about 2 minutes, 1 minute,
Terry should tell us when it's time.
2 minutes. Yep.
minutes.
Yes. This is the East Dubuque City Council meeting, August 22nd. Please turn off your cell phones, so if there's any questions, everybody can hear. So let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. For all.
roll call.
Belkin,
Here.
Bergmeyer,
Here.
Mayor Dagenhart,
Here.
Fleur,
Here.
Hoffman,
Here.
Walsh,
Here.
Attorney Kurt.
I'm here. Item number 22-0817, staff report.
Okay, before I start with my stuff, Mike Rudin from Origin Design is here this evening. At a previous meeting, I think there were some questions about the design of the police station and fire station, in particular about the roofs. So I asked Mike if he would come and sort of touch on that issue for us. So Mike, I would turn the floor over to you if that's okay. And if you could move that microphone sort of close to you.
Okay, so rather than me go through all of the pros and cons for a flat roof and a pitched roof, I'm going to start by explaining what we currently have on the drawings. So both the fire station and the police station have a 30-year warranty, fully adhered EPDM roof. And that system is a EPDM glue down with a cover board. And then all of the details need to meet a 30-year warranty for that roof. It's typically what we put on a 100-year building. Now, I understand that you have some questions and how did we get there? We had multiple discussions with the group, and I think the council member that was present at the discussions that we had was Rob, and she's no longer on the council. And then the chief and the committee. So rather than me go through all the pros and cons for a flat roof and a pitched roof, what concerns or what questions may you have?
Now, on this 30-year guarantee on the roof, is this 100% or prorated? In other words, we're 29 and a half years down the road and starts leaking.
It's probably prorated. I don't know for sure. I don't have the spec in front of me, but the membrane for sure would be prorated.
Yeah.
The roof itself, it doesn't matter what details I put on the drawings for the roof. Each manufacturer has their own method to achieve a 30-year roof. And I'm talking about blocking attachment. I'm talking about edge conditions. I'm talking about coping conditions. And so they will actually have the manufacturer come out during installation and inspect the roof before they will give that warranty.
Then we're
About
at their
halfway.
mercy.
What's that?
Then we're at their mercy.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the flat roof, yes.
So the difference in the cost would run us what for a pitch to a flat?
I couldn't.
I mean,
It'd be huge. It'd be a huge guess because you have to evaluate the entire building. You'd have to evaluate the structure. You would have to look at the exterior of the building because on a flat roof, of course, you're going to have less exterior material. Probably the biggest thing is you're going to have to look at ventilation. How you're going to ventilate a pitched roof. It's somewhat easy on a small residential building. When you start looking at a building that's 13,000 square feet, it becomes more difficult. And when we talk about ventilation, we're talking about how you ventilate that attic space. And so you've got to get the heat out of that or you lose your warranty. It's becoming very, very difficult to get the warranty on these pitched roofs. Now, I'm assuming that we're talking about an asphalt. We can do an asphalt shingled roof, or we can do a metal. We can do a metal roof. There are multiple different types of metal roofs. Same discussion that we had with the entire group. You can do a exposed fastener where it's a screw down, and every 5 years you got to come back in and screw all those things back down, or they work their way out. You can do a standing seam roof. It's where you have a 12-inch piece of metal that has ears on it. Two of them come together like this, two panels, and you got a machine that comes over and crimps it over. You get a hole in one of those things, it becomes a big problem taking that off and fixing it. I've seen a new installation on a metal roof.
Well, don't they put fans up in them for ventilation?
You can do a mechanical. You can do a mechanical evacuation system, or you can do the natural. Everyone thinks that's a science. It's not. It's an art. Venting a roof is an art. You got to be very, very careful. I've been in very large commercial buildings where they did a metal roof, and we had a breach in the insulation system where the maintenance person crawled up through the scuttle, and we had bats across the scuttle, and he got sick and tired of putting the bats back on top of the scuttle every time he went up into the attic. Well, what that did was it allowed that warm, moist air to go up into that attic. That's your insulation barrier. So now what you have is a whole bunch of moisture that goes up into that attic, and it freezes on the metal deck. And then not only does it freeze on the metal deck, it freezes on all of the screws that penetrate that are holding or the clips down. And depending on what you have down, I went up into that particular building and it was raining inside the attic in spring. That's how much moisture that had condensed on the underside of that metal deck.
Now, Mike, I think we can all tell a horror story of a flat roof. Okay, I've had bad experience with flat roofs, but we just put a pitched roof on the old fire station, but old type of construction. I think, were you familiar with what was on the old fire station? The where they had all the rock and everything on top.
Oh, sure,
of
that
it.
was a ballast, so that was a ballast. It's
How has the technology changed since that day?
well, quite a bit, because that roof would had insulation, and I would imagine it, I mean, it could have been a mopped-on system where you have mopped-on tar, for lack of a better word, and then pea gravel and mopped-on tar, and then pea gravel. They probably had a problem with that leaking. They could have sprayed a coating over it and then put ballast on top of that, and the ballast actually holds that roof. It's very difficult to go back in and look at an existing building and say a flat roof is bad for that existing building, because at the time it was constructed, it could have been constructed for a 15-year or a 20-year roof. So the entire perimeter of the thing, the way that it's attached, the insulation's attached, won't be the same as a 30-year roof. And so you can go back and put a 30-year roof on that particular roof. I don't know which one you're referring to, but you'll see shrinkage, or you'll see they're not attaching to nailers at the perimeter. They usually just have insulation. So on a 15 or a 20-year roof, you don't have blocking there to nail into, or to take your roof up against and glue to. So you're gluing to insulation. So when you glue it to that insulation, or you're gluing to that exterior wall, and I have no idea what the exterior wall was, they fail. They pull
The
apart.
ones I've seen
Not
problems with
designed.
usually seem to pull away around the sides.
Or you have the building that will move. So older buildings, and you have to remember, you're maintaining this roof. I don't care what type of roof it is, you're gonna maintain it. Now, just for giggles, I called a couple of contractors before I came and said, hey, if you were to do a, commercial roof, 30-year warranty on both of them, what would you rather install and have the warranty on? And they both told me a flat roof. They said a 30-year flat roof will outperform, if you maintain the internal drainage system, will outperform the pitched roof. Now, one contractor, and I see this all the time, you have on pitched roofs, if the ventilation system is not designed properly, you can get ice dams on the roof. You can have your gutters pull off. You can have ice dams. You can have icicles and sheets of ice fall off the roof onto stuff below. I've got a project at Loris College right now where we're trying to fix that particular issue, where we've got ice dams on that building, and we've got big pieces of ice falling on it, mechanical equipment, automobiles, students. And so they're really concerned. We went back and tried to fix the roof system. Very expensive, costly, but the buildings also, everyone has to understand, it was constructed in 1960. So how old the building is. And so it's really difficult to compare a flat roof that you would install on an existing building today versus a brand new building today with the technology. You have a 100-year building, so having that EPDM pull away from our parapet wall, I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, but it's very slim. I mean, we got a concrete block and brick masonry building.
Are they pretty much flat, like a tabletop, or is there a little pitch to it so that it can drain, internal drains in the roof?
The system that we have, everyone thinks a flat roof is flat. They're not. It's called a low slope roof.
Yeah.
So it has to have a 1/4 inch per foot fall on the roof. So to get to that drain, that insulation has to pitch a 1/4 inch per foot to get to the drain. And then we design the roofs to pond water up to 2 inches on that particular roof at every drain. I'm not going to tell you that you don't have to maintain a flat roof. You do. I mean, you still have to maintain that roof,
What do
especially
you do for maintenance to a flat roof?
making sure that the roof drains are not plugged.
Okay.
You go inspect it every year. You want to make sure that if anyone's up on that roof, they've not dropped a tool, put a hole in. I've seen where we've had maintenance person go up and drop stuff on the roof and put a couple holes in the roof and not tell anyone.
Can you walk across the roof?
Yeah, we put paths, so you'll see on the drawing, you'll see where we have, they're little 2x2 sheets.
Okay.
And it's a walking path. And so we don't like people walking directly on the roof membrane itself, so we have a protection pad that goes to all of the service areas.
What, I'm putting you on the spot, but okay, on commercial buildings like we're talking about, is there a percentage that go flat roof and percentage that go pitch roof, or is it overwhelming flat?
I can tell you, I don't remember the last time I did a pitched roof on a commercial building.
Really?
Yeah. You gotta worry about hail damage, wind damage. You don't typically have that on a flat roof with a protection board, with the technology that you have today. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't have wind damage. You can have a 90-mile-an-hour wind with a direct blew down. I've got one low slope pitched roof, which is more than a 1/4 inch per foot. And we've had some ice buildup, and the manufacturer, they said wherever you had a gutter, where it pulled back up off the roof because they had some issues with some ice on that roof, and it stretched the membrane. Well, the manufacturer came back in and replaced it all. Because it's under warranty, it stretched the roof, and you have to be careful. That's why you should inspect it, your roof every year, because if you have delamination on that membrane to your cover board, you get a wind, a 70-mile-an-hour wind, and what it does is starts sucking that membrane off of that protection board, and you got to be careful that it doesn't suck the thing off if you do have some delamination. That's why you should inspect your roof, not only just for puncture marks, but making sure that the drain areas are clean, so you don't have ponding water. You don't want ponding water on your roof membrane regardless. It reduces the life of the membrane.
So if it starts ponding, it's either a blocked intake or is there anything such thing as the roof could settle or something that you start getting ponding or?
If the roof settles on a 1/4 inch per roof, you got a problem.
Okay.
These are, we're all bar joists, so it's not wood, so it's not going to deflect. You should have any flat spots.
Okay.
In your roof. If you don't maintain it and you let the thing pond, the weight of that ponding, depending on how much would pond, I mean, you could get some flat spots in that.
Okay.
And I don't want anyone to think that we can't do a pitched roof, because you can. You can do a pitched roof, but those are some of the pitfalls that we've seen with pitched roofs.
What's the
Probably-
difference in cost?
It's really difficult to tell you what the difference in cost is, because we don't know anything about the structure. If we were to do a, pitched roof, it depends what it looks like. It depends how steep it is. It depends what material you put on it, how you ventilate it. You're going to have eaves on it to get that ventilation, that natural ventilation through the soffit. And then you can pull that ventilation through the soffit or that entire perimeter with a mechanical vent. I'd be very leery of doing a mechanical vent. If you don't maintain that building and that thing fails, you got a problem.
Can you assume the pitch roof would be more expensive than the flat?
Typically, pitch roofs are more expensive. I just can't tell you.
Right. Okay. Other questions for Mike?
Any questions, or we're gonna move on?
Good information.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Good information.
Very
you
good.
bet.
Thanks for coming, Mike.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mike. Okay, I'll move on with my city manager report. First one I wanted to talk about was the Indian Hills meeting. I thought we had a good meeting up at the school. And I keep calling it Indian Hills, but it's actually a larger area there. So there's 84 property owners. I think we had Delbert was there, Jeff was there, and Randy was there, I think. I'm not missing anybody, am I? Nope. We had a good turnout. I don't know if there was, if there was 2 people from each house, that'd be 168. I don't think there was 168 people there, but 100?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
quite a
pros.
crowd. Yeah.
Yes, 100. A lot of good questions. We had a company that sells barns, that sells the grinder pumps, did a demo out in the front parking lot. They actually had a glass tank with a grinder running, and they were sort of feeding things through it so people could see that. They answered questions, and then we went back inside. Well, engineers, Chris Becklin and Mark Rudin did a nice job of explaining. They had a PowerPoint presentation. I thought it was a good meeting, a lot of questions. People, we committed to them that we would get some more additional information out to them. A lot of discussion about the type of system we were putting in as opposed to a gravity system. So we had a discussion about a gravity system. I won't go through the whole PowerPoint with you, but one of the reasons we stuck with the grinder pump system was that allowed us to operate mainly in the right of ways. If we were to do a gravity flow system, we'd have to get a ton of easements through properties. Early indication was people weren't willing to give us the easements, so we tried to stay in the right of way. So I threw out that question is if it seemed like generally the people were talking, they'd rather have a gravity flow system. I guess the question I threw back at them was, if we went to a gravity flow system, would they all give us the easements we need to go through their backyards and stuff? So one of the things we're gonna do with the survey is ask them if they'd be willing to give us the easements. Am I saying it fair, guys, that people would rather have a gravity flow?
They would,
Yeah.
but there's also the possibility of the hybrid,
Yes.
a combination.
Yep.
Cause it only takes one person to mess the whole system up
Yep.
if they don't give us the easement.
Yeah, if you do a gravity flow system and everything runs downhill, if the guy at the bottom of the hill says, I won't give you an eastman, it's hard to put a gravity flow system in.
Yeah.
You can't go around the one at the bottom of the hill. So we're gonna keep doing more research. We're working with Origin Design to give us some more ideas on other options. Right now, we're looking at going to a rebid next spring as we get more information put together. We're also talking about Illinois EPA be willing, a gravity flow system be more expensive upfront. We're talking Illinois EPA, and pretty good indications they would give us, loan us, grant us the money to do a gravity flow system. One of the big benefits I love of a gravity flow system is maintenance in the future. If you figure these 84 grinder pumps, we had rough estimates, they're projected to last 10 years. I personally have one in my basement that I've had in for 20 years. Now, maybe we're easier on it, I don't know, but ours has lasted 20 years and I haven't had to replace it. But if you estimate a life of 10 years, and if you had to replace all of them in 10 years, it's about $250,000 right now, $250,000, maybe 300 by the time you have to do it. So if you figure every 10 years you had to do that, now, obviously it's like a sewer pipe. You don't dig it up if it's working fine. You don't pull a grinder pump out if it's working fine. But if you had to replace them every 10 years over the course of decades, you'd have been better putting a gravity flow system in. Now it's more money up front, less maintenance, and a happier public works director.
I'm in.
So we're going to look at the options, and it's one of the solutions would be we could bid it both ways. Two alternates. We could bid it both ways, work on getting the necessary easements, and then see what the bids come in the spring, and see how close they are, and make an informed decision at that time. So we told people that were there we'd be back in touch with them. I don't know, do you guys have any observations? I thought good questions.
Yeah, no, I, when you brought up the gravity part of it, people started thinking, oh, yeah, why don't you lead with that?
Yeah, the one lady said, why did you start with that?
After all the commotion, I mean, Mark really got a sentence out and people just started. Yeah, it's kind of hard to,
Yeah,
Keep
I thought our
it-
engineers
keep it
did a
in
nice
line.
job. It
yeah,
started out, I think, as and again, another part that was tied to it was annexation. They thought this was a way to force an annexation down their throats. It's not the case. Legally, we cannot annex that property. It's more than 60 acres right now. State of Illinois laws say you can't do that. So tried to deflect that discussion. Basically, we have $2.2 million of free money given to us by the state of Illinois. That if we could pick up 20 customers, if anybody will give you a business and say you can keep the revenue from the customers, I think that's a good business model. So the more customers we can get to support our operation, it's cash flow basically. So I think gravity flow would be better received if we could go that route. It was informational both ways that night. We were talking to the citizens and the residents, and then we learned some stuff too. So I thought it was a good meeting.
and also that Mark guaranteed that once they were done and left, that their property would look the same or better than it was when they got there.
Yep.
So,
That's what you got to do.
because
on
that was
any
one
these
of the
projects.
complaints, people are not wanting their yards dug up, so.
Is that it, Loris?
Yeah, basically, I walked out, I stuck around there was 3 people standing outside talking to me. And that was 9 o'clock. So basically it was 9 o'clock when I left the front of the school that night. So, but I answered every question they had. So I thought it was good. So the only other 2 things I wanted to mention to you was, it was in your packet. We're going to discuss later school resource officer, but we did receive a $3,000 donation from Dunleaf Township. I thought that was very good of them. They apologized that they didn't have more, but they just have a smaller budget. But it was their their gesture to show they support the school resource officer. So I wanted to publicly recognize them. And then I got an email late today from Sandy Lecterhan. I'm going to, thank you. I just wanted to read part of it. She had some questions about our Beecher Street project. She lives at 225 Beecher Street, but I just wanted to share her first paragraph. She says, "Hello, Mr. Herrig. First of all, I'd like to commend everyone involved in the Beecher Street rejuvenation. I am so impressed with how much nicer the neighborhood looks. The street, curbs, and sidewalks are just beautiful. The workers were also nice too. Thanks to you and all who are involved in this project." So I thought that was a nice thing for her to say. So I wanted to share that. So
Don't get too many. of them.
we don't get a whole lot of those, so I like to share them. So, and that's all I have, sir.
Okay, next item is the mayor's report. What night was it, Delbert?
What's that?
Thursday night? We went to the
Yeah,
mayor's
yeah,
meeting.
we went.
Went to the mayor's meeting down at Warren. And everybody tells the problems they got in town and what's going on and what they're working on. It was a real good deal. And we're scheduled to have one here in East Dubuque in November. So
We're gonna get a hold of you, Loris.
Gotcha.
the other thing I got is the drum and bugle corps, and Whitey's here tonight. And he's concerned about finding a place to store the equipment. Because the police station is leaking, and I told him we'd try to find a place to put his stuff. How much stuff have you got, Whitey?
Bill Campbell, 2824 Pinner Street, Dubuque, Iowa. And, the commander of the drum corps, been in existence for,
As long as I can remember.
it was organized in 1948 by a group of veterans that came back from the war. And they want to get something patriotic started, so they started the drum corps. And next year will be our 75th anniversary. And, we've been in the old fire hall upstairs there for ever since then. Now it's starting to fall down. As everybody knows, needs a roof and everything. So we're in need of a space to keep our equipment. And we'd like to have we could find a way to have a room in, or a space in the new police station or fire station for the drum corps to meet. Sure.
Like I told you on the phone, we'll work to find you a place.
Yeah.
So we will, I don't know how much, Mark, you know how much space he takes?
No, I do not know.
It
You know
was
how much room it takes?
20 by 20 bare minimum would be 400 square feet. And I don't know if the police station or fire station would have that, but.
You need to heat it, probably need it,
Huh?
you probably want it heated.
Oh,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But getting back to what he said about 1948, after the war, a bunch of veterans got together and started forming drum and bugle corps throughout the Midwest and the country as a whole. And as of a couple of years ago, out of all the ones formed in the Midwest, East Dubuque was one of two left in the Midwest. It's not only a city treasure, it's a state and federal treasure. So I think if the newspapers would be kind enough to interview Mr. Kemp, and maybe that could help us out too.
Carter, does that sound like a worthwhile
I-
story somewhere along?
I didn't see him back there,
Carter's hiding back there, so.
but yeah,
We'll do our best, Whitey.
One of the only senior drum corps still left in the United States, or most of them were junior corps. They go up to 21.
We will do some looking for you. I assume, Randy, you have his contact information as far.
yeah, we got her.
Okay. We'll see if we can find something.
Thank you, Whitey.
Thank you very much.
Next item is Alderman's report. Albert,
I have nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Mike,
Just one of the neighbors asked about up on Hiawatha and Arrowhead, that little, you waiting for that to settle or?
No, it's ready. We're gonna,
Okay.
fill it in.
Someone asked about it. I said, I'd probably wait and see if it sells anymore.
Yeah.
And then just helping them with the street stuff.
Tim,
Nope.
Jake,
Have nothing at this time.
Jeff,
Yeah, I got a call from one of my neighbors complaining about one of my neighbors. 125 Chester Square is the house that they're complaining about, all this stuff in the front. The yard's not being really taken care of.
We'll follow it.
Yeah. So,
125 Chester Square. Got it.
that it?
yes, that's all.
We'll move
right.
on then to city attorneys. Terry Kurt, have you got anything tonight, Terry?
Are you there? Did we lose him?
I think so, yeah.
They're snoring.
He thinks he's on, but he's not. I'll assume he has nothing at this point then.
We'll move on and the chief of police is next.
Let him call back in.
Terry?
Yes,
Okay.
We lost you.
Anything tonight, Terry?
yeah, we got dropped.
Do you have anything tonight, Terry?
Do I have what?
Do you have anything to share? We're going through the Alderman's reports and now you're next up.
Just that we have a flat roof in my office. But it works. That's it.
Okay.
Thanks. That's all I had.
All right, thank you, Terry.
All right.
And the chief of police is not here tonight.
Luke's not here. We started, either of my two officers have an update on the school resource officer. It started, and as far as I know, it's working okay.
Hey, Jake.
There you go. Thanks, Jake.
Fire Chief Joe Heim, is he here tonight? Nope.
No, Joe had a conflict tonight, so don't skip Mark Fleur.
Oh, yeah. Public Works Director, Mark, you got a plan?
Okay, in your packet, we have that street bid. We believe the last time it got tabled. Working with Mike on it and a few other ones. We do have some streets picked out.
It's this bigger sheet if anybody
Yeah.
looking for it. It was folded over in your packet.
Yeah,
Thank you to Mike or Councilmember Huffman, sorry. Thanks to Councilmember Huffman for putting the spreadsheet together. He gets credit for doing it, so.
yes. So, one of the first ones, we're looking at doing is Sherwood, and that's gonna be from the top of the Montgomery to the end, and that's gonna go past Beecher. With the construction and everything, that street took a beating. So that one there, we believe is a must.
That one's 30,405 if you're keeping score.
Yeah. Okay, then, Riverview Terrace. And with that one, it's going to, start there at Clarendon from Montgomery all the way back to Chester Square. So, and then,
That one's 39,932.40.
and then Montgomery. And that is gonna go from Sherwood all the way to Elm.
That's the big project, 199,324.80.
Okay. I was asked to get a price on Timberline, but with the sewer system going in there, we pulled that one and added to Clarendon.
Timberline really needs to be done. We did seal coat on that last year. It needs to be done, but we'd be wasting our money if we tear it up for the sewer project. You know, it'd just be wasting our money. So we will go back to it after the sewer project. So
And DeSoto with the water main project, that one will be asphalt. That gets blacktopped also. So that'll go from Sixth Street all the way to Third Street. And section on the other side of the ditch.
Mark, describe that Clarendon project, why we added that or what happened or.
We added the Clarendon project, couple reasons, right there going down Jail Hill where it goes up. Okay, we got a issue with some water there, actually going into a garage. We got a call and asked if we would take a look at it. So, that's kind of where we're at there. And it ties in real good with what's happening over there on North Gramercy.
That's 48,500. And then we left the funding for Cherry Street, the storm sewer we're already committed to, which is 80,000. With all the projects we mentioned, we end up with 398,162.20. And we had budgeted $408,000 this year for projects. So after a lot of discussion and a lot of analysis, we think that's where we should throw our money this year.
So I think what we have to do is decide, as far as, what the two bids are on back-to-back sheets here. You have one from Helm, the civil. And then on the backside of that is the one from Tri-State Paving.
We've got an action item later in the agenda to make a motion, but we thought this way you could ask questions too. If you have any questions of Mark, why pick certain ones? There's always more streets to do than we have money to do. But we thought this was the biggest bang for the buck. We try and spread it around town, different areas. Obviously Montgomery is the big one. It's almost $200,000, but that's a heavily traveled street for our community. So it's a main thoroughfare for.
Yes, it
the
is.
town. Questions for Mark on his recommendations?
On any of the streets. Okay, and then I want to touch a little bit on the water main project down here on DeSoto on the flats. It's going slow. They're fighting the river, as we all kind of knew they would be. In the middle block, they went a little faster. So they are moving along. We got looking at the project from 4th Street going all the way to 3rd Street. That there, all the houses are hooked on the 8-inch main that are on the right side of the street, looking at the ditch. The houses on the left, they're hooked up to the main in the back. So we have 4 or 5 houses that we need to get off the 8-inch main and hook them up to a 6-inch main that we're gonna run up there and dead ended at the ditch. And eventually, wouldn't mind tying it in to the 3rd Street project, which I'll be talking about here in just a few minutes. The reason you want that them houses off the 8-inch main is because when we do the water treatment facility where the old police station is, you don't want people hooked onto it because it's going to be raw. Okay, it's got to get treated and then come back through. So we're just kind of looking at it. We wish we would have seen that earlier in the drawings, but it was missed. We weren't real sure. So any questions on that? And then the 3rd Street project is going to be right over here underneath the bridge. Several years ago, maybe 10 years ago, we had a water main break there. We had it dug up. We had railroad on site. I was probably within 10 minutes of getting that fixed. And a guy in Texas that ran everything says, fill the hole in. They got a locomotive coming through. They wouldn't let us fix it. So what we ended up doing is we had to put 2 valves in. So the only place water gets to the flats now is off 5th Street and 4th Street. So we would like to get water to go through at 3rd Street also, gives them more volume. And eventually we could possibly start isolating water main breaks, as far as isolating the area a little more where we don't have to shut everybody off. We're going to have to stick in more valves. Eventually that might be phase 2. to this, but eventually, yeah. I mean, it's something that needed to be done years and years ago. But now that we're working on the water main down there in the flats, I think now's the time to do it. So they're talking about boring it, a 6-inch main underneath the tracks and putting it in a 10-inch sleeve. So, but you got to go through the rigmarole with the railroad. They're hard to work with. So
Where everything has to be sleeved. It'll take us till next spring to bid this thing,
yes,
to get the permits from the railroad. 6 months, maybe the railroad gets this permit back. They're difficult to work with, but as Mark explained to me, the problems they had, one of the things we realized as they were flushing hydrants down there, the pressure dropping so badly. And it's like, well, you should be able to flush hydrants without losing that much pressure. Well, it's because we don't have enough supply coming in. So that's, Mark said roughly 10 years ago, that was one less, we cut their supply by a third.
Yeah.
We got to get it back.
Yeah.
so
So that's, we went to WHKS, we're trying to rotate these projects a little bit. And you'll see later in the agenda and action item to approve that. In a lot of it's design that you have to send the railroad, because they won't give you permits until they see every inch that you're gonna do, unfortunately. Difficult people to work with. Did I say that before?
Yeah.
Oh, you have, Mark?
one other thing is the Vector. I'm sure he's probably seen it out. Tony and Tom, they've been putting it to a lot of work lately. The last thing was Friday that they did is they cleaned out storm sewers from the top of Montgomery down Montgomery, the two here by the police station and at the bottom of the hill, and from Upper Main down through Main Street. Tony's doing a real good job of logging the footage that they do and where they're at and what they're doing and the hours that they're putting on the truck. So the truck was in for some warranty work twice so far. But like anything with something new, you got bugs. You just got to get out. So it's not costing city nothing. A little bit of downtime. But any questions as far as that?
And you can get that fixed locally, right?
Yes, it goes over to truck country.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Good.
What are they finding when they're using it?
a lot of sand, grit, leaves,
A lot of sand?
sand. Yep. Yep. So,
When's the last time we cleaned out the storm sewer? You remember?
ooh, yeah. It's been a long time. Well, you're just never capable of doing it. I mean, you know,
This ties into the MS4 program. I think that was called MS4.
Yeah. yeah.
One of the things they're requiring us to do is to do regular maintenance on the storm sewer system. So we haven't done.
Yeah.
That's why it's all being logged.
Yeah.
We can send it to the state and federal people saying we're doing it. So we'll get good use out of the,
Pardon?
we'll get good use out of the.
Yep, actually, we used the Vector, helped Louis out a little bit down in the flats because they were in the water table when we did the tie-in. And the sand just kept coming and it worked out excellent there. I mean, so that really made the job easier. It's gonna make water main breaks easier. So, yeah,
Is that it?
Good.
nice piece of equipment.
What are the,
Keep the good work up, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, good report.
Okay, I'll move on. Fire chief is not here.
Hey, Mayor,
Go ahead.
Mayor,
Yes?
hey, I forgot to mention the Village of Elizabeth voted to join DACRA. So Alyssa's going to be preparing the ordinances, so Elizabeth can send all their tickets over to our administrative law judge. So that's good news.
Okay,
We keep picking them up. Thanks, Terry.
Thanks.
thank you, Terry.
Got them about all of them. Yep, thanks.
Next item is 22-0818, speakers from the floor tonight. Go ahead, Michelle, come up here to the table.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for
Hello,
coming
Mike.
to Wing Fest, supporting us.
One question I had, and it's about the speakers from the floor that how it's gonna change. I've been coming to these meetings as long as anybody. In the old days, we would get up here, we would speak, and you guys would just stare at us. You guys weren't allowed to talk to us at all. It was just, it was a statement we were making. And over the years, it became more where the crowd was, the people were able to ask questions, you guys answered questions. Maybe there's a middle of somewhere, but the old way wasn't good. So I don't know if that's where it's going. One of the hardest parts about speakers from the floor also is you're speaking to something that's on the agenda later on, so I don't even know what you're gonna say. So I have to guess what you're gonna say and speak to it first. So the only thing I'm saying is it's not good when we get up here and speak about something and you guys aren't allowed to even say anything. In the old days, it would just be like, okay, any other speakers from the floor? Nobody would say anything, crickets. So we like, as people that come to almost all the meetings, it's nice when we come here, we say something and you're able to respond to whatever it is. So I'd hate to see changing it back to crickets.
Thank you, Mike.
Michelle?
Yes, I'm gonna kind of be piggybacking on to what Mike was saying about the meetings and everything. We had talked back in April on some of the meetings that, you know, we were doing the Zoom meetings or Facebook meetings, whatever they were, and it said it was due to COVID, which worked out great to be able to have the people that can't leave their homes and come to these and still be able to know what the heck is going on. Once we lost the TH, you know, Carter's not here at all the meetings and, you know, doing everything. It's hard for everybody to know what is going on if they can't attend the meeting. It was voted that yes, we would continue to stream it. But evidently something happened and we got put in some kind of Facebook jail. I have no idea how Facebook works because I don't have it. So I don't know what Facebook jail means and if that means we can never go back to using it. And then in, what was it, the June meeting, it was asked again if we wanted to continue to have this. And we said, you know, as the council, they said, yeah, that we were going to continue to have this. And it's not anywhere. And then in the July ones, it said that there was some discussion on here that Mayor Degenhart said he wishes that like to see it kept on the web page. Thor said he'd like to see the streaming. Randy said, yeah, put it back on the website. And then during that meeting, from what I remember hearing, but it's not clear in the minutes, you know, there was some discussion that said, okay, if we're not live streaming, it would be put on like the next day. It's still not on there. I did talk to Alyssa, you know, probably a couple weeks after that, and she said, well, we've got some glitches. We have to be able to do this and do that. And I know back, we had computer doctors who used to do all of our computers, all of that kind of stuff. And then we went with a new company, Loris, I can't remember who it is,
Networking.
who was supposed to be able to be kind of up and quicker and getting us all back on the now networks and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure why or where the holdup is. Why can't this still be on and available to people? As you all know, that we still get lots of phone calls at home just because. And we're getting a lot of people that said, hey, what is this? The council's changing where it says on the ordinances. And, you know, I kind of did some looking and it sounds like this has always been a thing that the city could do where it says that the tapes would be erased as soon as the minutes were done. Why is that something we're going to go back to if we've never really used the practice? What is the rush and why are we erasing all of the tapes? You know, like I know there was more discussion than what's on the minutes. And if we had to go back and pull something, if the tapes are being erased, we can't go back. Is there a space savings place that we don't have enough room to save this? Why would we want to erase anything that when, you know. you can't
Not
go back
aware
and
that we're-
recall.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Who said we were erasing them?
I would have to go home and listen to the messages to get the names. But this was put in our mailbox and it was highlighted. It said, any tapes used in the preparation of the council minutes will be retained until the minutes of the meeting are approved by the city council. Once the minutes are approved, the tapes will be erased.
What you're reading, where did that come from?
Yeah, it's, my understanding was it was from our ordinances that somebody got off our webpage.
Oh.
And that is section 2.
That hasn't been changed. Now, let me ask Terry. Terry, am I correct that once the minutes are approved, those are the official record of the city?
Lost him again.
Oh. I think I'm right on that.
Because I know in here up there, it says 18 months for executive session.
Correct. You have to keep,
That was on there that it
those are
said that
required to
was.
be kept.
But this one here clearly says they're gonna be erased as soon as,
That hasn't been changed. So if it said that, years ago then.
so we're not doing this. So that's why I just said, hey, I was gonna come and ask about this, and then this showed up in. my
I think
phone.
they can find them with a certain amount of effort. I think they can find.
But we as a city aren't erasing tape.
Now, we're not required to keep them, because if there's ever in court, if there's ever a conflict between the recording and the approved minutes are the ones that are considered the legal document.
Right, but they don't have like word for word or the lengthy stuff,
But no
so
matter what they
if we're
say,
not erasing them, that's.
but yeah, we're not erasing them, but even whatever they say, it only goes by the recorded, what the council approves, like they're approving minutes tonight. That is the official record of the city.
So do you know when we're gonna start being able to?
Last I knew, the last meeting was on the website.
I don't, I tried to watch it last week, there's no, that all had a picture of you, Lars, and shouldn't that be throwing something down?
But it had it has the voice, right?
Right, but a lot of people wanna look at and see the people's expression, whatever,
Right.
like, you know, you used to have, when I sit here, I'd see a picture of the council. There again, it's not.
Right now it just shows the logo, I think.
Right, so when I went to watch it last week, or listen, just, all you got the voice, so you don't get, you know, the. reaction of
Interaction.
Something
Okay.
is said, but the reaction.
I'll check on the video, why the video is not showing, but
Yeah, there is.
I'm recording this one right now.
Right, I was gonna go.
And if they are hard.
I don't know why it had a picture of me, but.
Yeah.
Okay, I will check on that for you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Michelle.
Item number 22 dash,
Do you want to ask if there's any? other-
any more questions? Anybody's speakers from the floor?
Okay.
22 0819 consent agenda. We need a motion.
Second.
Belkin,
Aye.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
Fleur.
Aye.
Hoffman, Walsh.
Now to old business 22 0808. Discussing a possible action on street project proposal in the city of East Dubuque.
This is Mark's proposals that he reviewed with you. If you agree, you would make a motion to approve his recommendations.
I have a motion to approve.
Second that.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart.
Aye.
Fleur.
Aye.
Hoffman. Walsh.
Aye.
Belkin,
Aye.
Motion carried. Number 6, 22 0814. Discussing a possible action to amend city rule of procedure and speakers from the floor policy in the city of East Dubuque.
We put in the changes that the council discussed. We put in the table of contents. And then we copied the speakers of the floor from the floor that we had at the last meeting. I don't know if there was any discussion tonight that would want you to change. Now, I sort of violate our rules right away. These are guidelines. You know, I just talked with Michelle, asked her some questions. You know, I think the council, it's your meeting. Now, the idea is that you conduct city business, you get it done in an efficient manner. But if you need more information from a speaker, there's nothing that says you can't ask them a question. You guys, these are your rules. These are your guidelines. So if you want to make a motion on something tonight and somebody sitting at a table had something that would be valuable to the council, it's your meeting. Now, I think the whole idea of speakers from the floor is two things that are really important. First of all, you can't have somebody a speaker from the floor that takes 35 minutes. It's disruptive to the meeting. The other thing is if somebody from speaker floor brings up something that's not on the agenda, legally, you're not supposed to be discussing things that aren't on the agenda. Now, that also lets the council to say, Loris, put this on the next agenda. I'd like to discuss what Joe just said. So, I mean, it's your meeting. It's supposed to be efficient. And so your policies, there's not going to be a cop here that says, oh, you broke rule number section 7, paragraph 3. You guys make the rules, but the idea is to try and keep it organized. So having said that, I guess I'd put it in front of you guys. Would you like to adopt these procedures? Every council has a rules of procedure. Every city does. You guys make the rules. You guys can break the rules. So I put it out to you guys. How would you like to proceed?
I make a motion to accept the amended rules.
Second.
Mayor Dig,
Aye.
Fleur.
Aye.
Hoffman. Walsh.
Aye.
Belkin,
Aye.
Bergmeyer.
Aye.
We'll move on now to new business 22-0820. Discussion and possible action to approve WHKS professional service agreement of Third Street Water Main Boring Project in the city of East Dubuque.
This is the project Mark discussed with you. We'd like your blessing to proceed with the engineering so we can get this rebuilt next year.
So moved.
Second it.
Fleur.
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Walsh.
Aye.
Belkin,
Aye.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart.
Aye. Item number 8, 22-0821, discussion of possible action to approve intergovernmental agreement between the city of East Dubuque Police Department and the East Dubuque School District 119 for the school resource officer, SRO, in the city of East Dubuque.
This was reviewed by the school's legal counsel, our legal counsel, and the school has approved it. So now it'd be up to you guys to approve it.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Walsh.
Aye.
Belkin,
Aye.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
and Fleur.
Item you take number, or Laura's take number 9.
Okay. Number 22-0822, discussion and possible action to approve intergovernmental agreement between the city of East Dubuque and Dunleaf Township for participation in the administrative hearing court, free of charge in the city of East Dubuque. And this basically is our agreement with the city or the Dunleaf Township to have them participate in our court. I don't anticipate they'll have a lot of action. The free of charge is there is no fee to them, but we, as we do with every city that participates in our court, we keep the $50 court cost on every citation. That's how we get compensated. So they have approved it. Mark brought this down, so I would recommend that you approve it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Item number 10.
Oops,
You got a roll call.
sorry.
Roll call.
Walsh.
Aye.
Belkin,
Aye.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
Fleur.
Aye.
Hoffman.
Item number 10, 22-0823, discussion and possible action to approve change order 2 water system improvement 2021 contract B, water disposable and improvement, Louis Trenching Service Incorporated, increase in the amount of $41,140 in the city of East Dubuque.
This is the project Mark talked about. It was a good catch by Mark that we need to get everybody off of that other line. I don't know if he explained it or everybody understood it right, but eventually when we get to the point where we treat our water, we're gonna have it come from the well directly to the water treatment. We don't want it going into people's houses before it gets to the water treatment. So this is something we would have needed to do at some point anyway. So good catch on Mark's point to get it done now. We'd recommend you approve it.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Belkin,
Aye.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
Fleur.
Aye.
Hoffman, Walsh.
Aye.
Item number 11, 22-0824. We need a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
Fleur.
Aye.
Hoffman, Walsh,
Aye.
Belkin.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank everyone for coming.